Here, let me get a little closer to you. I just wanted to talk about this sort of interesting realization I had this morning. And it all started with the fact that I had an appointment at 9:15 to get microneedling done. And for any of you that don't know what that is, it's something that women do to make themselves feel beautiful. It just helps our skin feel a little firmer, and it helps our pore size and stuff like that. And I think also people that have scar tissue and stuff can use it as well, although that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I'm 42 and last year decided that I needed to desperately start grasping at whatever I could, considering that I also, felt pretty bad about myself after my last relationship that ended like 4 years ago at this point. And it's so crazy because this is the longest I've ever been single since I was a teenager. It's so weird. This has been intentional though. Like, I'm certain, I know I could have gotten dates. This is sort of like something that I realized, unfortunately, I need to do. Because, like we were talking about, not knowing ourselves and not knowing our own personalities, well, sometimes when we realize that, seeking new relationships isn't really the best way to figure that out, unfortunately. So, and I think that's why in the past I've bounced around from relationship to relationship so quickly. Like, I'll have a 4-year relationship that will end, and within 3 weeks I'll be in my next 4 or 5 year relationship. And it's like I just can't stand to be single until these past few years. And so I felt like this was like a lesson that I needed to give myself. Anyway, I wanted to talk about friends more than relationships, romantic relationships, because I don't know about any of you guys out there on methadone or that are sort of dealing with picking up the pieces of, like, you're sober now, but you're kind of picking up the pieces of the things that you lost and trying to reorganize the puzzle and figure out what it's going to look like next. And, well, for me, I'm realizing that I have no friends. I clearly, like many of us, lost a lot of friends to addiction itself. I've mentioned that I've lost some friends due to illness, unfortunately. I've lost important family members, my mother, my grandparents. All of my grandparents are gone now. Really, my only family member left is my father. I have some uncles on my mother's side, but they live in Texas. And I don't see them, and I haven't seen them for decades. Even though, man, those guys, they were some rockin' uncles, because they were young. They were like halfway between me and my mom, because they weren't born until my mom was like 16. So it was kind of cool. Like, they would babysit me and stuff growing up. Anyway, what I realized today, so I had an appointment, or I thought I had an appointment at 9:15. Turns out the appointment was at 9, and I don't even want to get into whose fault that is, except to say that this is not the first, second, third, fourth, or even fifth time that something like this has happened with me at this particular healthcare provider. And I have never, ever, I'm somebody that keeps a very strict and tight schedule, and I've never had this experience anywhere else. So I'm not miswriting my appointments down anywhere except apparently this place, and at this place I'm doing it chronically. I find that hard to believe. I think something is going on with our front desk. But regardless, so now I got to come back home, and I'll go at 11:30 now. And it's so weird because my first thought was sort of this sadness. Now, you guys, this is sad. All right? This is sad in a comical kind of way, or an ironic kind of way. Because I thought, man, like, I love my esthetician, and we get to talk, and it kind of makes me feel the same way that I feel when I go and get a pedicure. Like, I don't get manicures, but I get pedicures regularly, and the girl that I see, I've been seeing her for like over a decade. Well, actually, I've been seeing her off and on for 20 years. But regularly for like a decade. And makes me feel the same way when I go and get my hair done, you know, and I talk to my hairdresser, and the same way I feel when I go to therapy. And not the therapy that they provide at the clinic, because the therapy that they provide at the methadone clinic is lacking. And it's not to say that the people that work there don't try and do their best. It's just that a lot of them quite literally don't have the experience, and that's why they're at the clinic. It's like they're there getting their hours, or you know, whatever they call them wherever you are, your volunteer hours or your credit hours, I don't know, before you can start having like your own private practice or do whatever. You've got to work for someone else for like almost free first for like a year. And a lot of people end up doing that at places like methadone clinics. And methadone clinics are not a very good reflection of humans or society. They can be very depressing. So the turnaround rate for those counselors at those clinics is like insane. I don't know about you guys, but like in the past 2 years, I've had 4 different counselors at the clinic. And I think I'm probably about to have a new one because I haven't heard from my old one in months. I mean, I hope it stays that way because you don't really ever want to be hearing from them. But I just mean that so you get your outside therapy, and you know, hopefully you find a therapist that you feel comfortable really sharing with, or somebody that you resonate with in some way, that you relate, that feels relatable, like you can see yourself in them, or vice versa. And then you think, okay, well, I feel really good around that person. And let's see who else. Well, I don't know. If I think about somebody else, I'll figure that out. Oh, like my yoga instructor. My yoga instructor would be another example. But here's the thing. So when I think about these people, I think about them as my friends. And like I said, I had a lot of friends that died in addiction. Some of my best friends. Some of my oldest friends, of course, I do have a couple that just, we totally lost touch, and we won't reconnect. Like the bridge was burned, so to speak. And then there are the friendships, of which I had many, that actually had nothing to do with drugs, but were toxic and enabling in a lot of ways. And these were friendships that I'd had since my teens, and some of these people I considered my best friends, you know, and had for years, like. And it was this time around in sobriety that I realized I could not maintain those friendships anymore. And it was because those people had, even though they weren't drug addicts themselves, they had their own stuff, believe me, going on, like their own mental health stuff. And one of them did actually have a very, 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 very intense addiction to alcohol. And she even had just recently been diagnosed with diabetes and was still drinking, and like was just in total denial of the situation. And I had been watching this downfall for years, and it finally took me a lot to realize that because of my past trauma, it felt like if I wasn't there for these people, and if I didn't like, it was my job to rescue these people because of what I'd been through, and I understood what it was to be an addict or to have mental health issues. But it took me 42 years, well, I didn't know them for 42 years, but it took me 42 years on this world to learn that just because you've known someone for 30 years doesn't mean the friendship has to continue. People use that as an excuse all the time. Oh, I can't abandon this person. I've known them for 30 years. Well, actually, like, if they're treating you like shit, they're manipulating you, they are not listening, they have no actual self-awareness and no real intention to make any grand gestures of change, and it's something that is causing suffering for you and is actually causing no good for anyone anywhere, then yeah, hell yeah, you have every right to step away, because that is a toxic and an enabling relationship. And what it's doing is it's draining all of the energy, the emotional energy that you need in order to actually thrive in your own sobriety. And it took me so long to learn that. Here's the thing though. When I finally learned it, I just, like, you know, immediately cut like 5 people out of my life, and then found myself in a position very, quite honestly, I mean, totally isolated, just totally isolated, because I had lost the people, and then the people that I hadn't lost, I had now cut out of my life, the only people that would actually be caring about what was going on with me or how I was. So now I have nobody checking in on me. I have nobody to call if I want to go out to dinner on a Friday night, other than my dad. And look, not taking the pops for granted. You guys have heard me say how much I love my dad, but I do talk to my dad about a lot, but the reality is he doesn't want to know everything, and I don't need to tell him everything. There's some things that you just need friends for, there's some things that you just need people in your own age group, your own generation, your own people that are in their same process sort of learning, right? Because if I try to explain some of my problems to my dad, he'll sort of look at me like he doesn't get it, because it's like the solution's so simple to him, but that's because he's had so much more time on this planet. And I'm like, no, you just don't get the emotional aspect and how I feel. And he's like, no, I do get it. I'm just telling you it shouldn't matter and not to care. And it's like, well, that right there may be true, but that's definitely something that's only going to come with time. I can't just suddenly teach myself to stop caring. I'm way too empathetic of a person, and I have been my entire life. It's benefited a lot of other people, and it's caused me a lot of pain. Here we are, full circle, back to the point I wanted to get to. Going to these appointments, I've realized, these self-care sort of appointments, if you want to call them that, my brain has sort of now deemed these people as my friends. And I don't know whether or not to feel like that's sad or acceptable. And that's also because I don't have any friends or other middle-aged single women without children to talk to about what their life looks like and how they make friends or how they interact with other women. Because that's the other thing, is I struggle to sort of relate to a lot of other women my age, because most other women my age have children and families. And if they're not, if they're divorced or don't have a husband, they do, you generally have a child at minimum. And I just have absolutely no idea what that's even like, and I don't really even want to. So you guys tell me, is it weird to pay a service provider sort of to be your friend? I mean, it's not like I go get my hair cut and then on the weekend I'm going out to dinner with my hairdresser. That's not it. Or that, I go get a facial and then we go to a concert on the weekend. That's not it. It's just that the friendship happens during the interaction, right? During the actual appointment. The conversations, the openness, the honesty, and the advice, stuff like that. But what I'm saying but it's paid for, because you're paying for that service in that moment. And I know, because I used to be a hairdresser, so I know I get customer service and I get having to talk to a customer, and like I know how so many clients want to come in and they just want somebody to listen to them. They just want to talk about, if they've got problems, they want somebody to relate to them. And if they've got good stuff going on, they want somebody to brag to about it. Like, they just want somebody to share emotion with them. So I actually understand it from that end. But here I am now over on this end. And it feels a little creepy. Like, it just makes me feel like if I'm feeling like my hairdresser and my therapist and my esthetician and my dental hygienist and my yoga instructor are like my friends, although my yoga instructor is my friend because we do other things that don't have anything to do with yoga. Like, we'll go paddleboarding together and we'll go shopping together and stuff. That was a relationship that kind of evolved, but so that was cool. But these other people, it's solely based on the service. Maybe this is partially what adulting is about, though. And it's like what I've always called acquaintances aren't acquaintances. They're actually friends. Like, can acquaintances be friends? Can friends be acquaintances? And why do I care so much about labels? Like, could I just say instead, I feel really awesome around this person, which is why I choose them to help me with this thing. Yeah. I don't know. This just speaks to the issue of loneliness in sobriety, especially for those of us that don't have families. So I don't know what kinds of experiences you guys have had with this, but for me, it has really been a big deal. Like, I have people I stay connected to with online, on the phone, texting, but I do not go out. I really don't. I do not go out, not like I used to. I'm pretty isolated. I still have a lot of anxiety and sort of like this agoraphobia when I leave my house. I can go to appointments and stuff that's like really rigid and scheduled, but like more casual stuff that's not that doesn't have like a time limit around it, where I have like a reason to leave. I really struggle with that kind of stuff because right now it seems like one of the best solutions for my anxiety is to literally, like, I've got to go sit in a room by myself and like rub a crystal or something. I mean, yeah, I'm a hippie. I take stones with me everywhere. I'm sure people are always wondering why that girl's sitting there rubbing that rock. I don't know. It's just like, how does one make friends in recovery? There's AA, there's NA. I've been to both, and I've been to both over the years. For me, it wasn't something that helped. For me, both AA and NA felt disingenuous, judgmental, I felt like they were based around this sort of like reward system for staying sober, but and a lot of people would like to get up and talk about, oh, how great their week was, or oh, my wife left me, and all that's fine and dandy, but that's not real therapy. And so I get that that's all that some people can afford. And I'm really, really glad that it's there, because it is also true that it has saved many people's lives. Like, that's a fact, right? There are people that would not be sober without the program. For me, however, going to psychotherapy twice a week is much more stabilizing and grounding than walking into a room of addicts and alcoholics and chanting about our problems until somebody wants to talk about something joyful or traumatic. Like, I really, really, really need a space to actually work on me, myself, and what the hell is going on in here, in here. And I need somebody to be able to help me with it on a one-on-one basis with like real focused advice and suggestions. But I am lonely. I'm very lonely. Very, very lonely. I hope that changes. I hope that changes one day. It's interesting because I know right now that there are people that would love to be close to me, you know? I have at least several people that I could name that if I were to call them and say, hey, this weekend, they would make it work. But the kind of isolation I'm feeling is like, even that kind of stuff feels difficult because I feel like I've entered this space where I don't even know how to communicate with folks anymore. Not really. Not really. Like, I just don't ever really know what to talk about, because what do people normally talk about, right? Like, people normally talk about what's going on with them, and like, I don't have a lot of really great stuff going on with me right now, and I don't want to be that person that ends up sitting there just like complaining and talking about all the crappy stuff. So look, I know how conversation works. Fine, maybe let's talk about something local in the news, or let's talk about what's going on with the UFOs and the UAPs. That shit's, if y'all been paying attention to that, you should check that out, you know. Oh, let's talk about like the boogosphere. All that stuff's fascinating, but sometimes people close to you really do actually want to know how you are, and I'm just so tired of talking about me. It's like all I do, really, because even all those people I just mentioned, those service workers, like, they know about what's going on in my life, and so they're always eager to like want all the updates. And sometimes I really go into these places and I just want to go, please just let me close my eyes and don't ask me any questions. But I don't know why I don't ever do that, because I I guess because I think it would be rude. And I'm always like overly concerned with what other people are going to think about what I think of them. And I do feel like the way the methadone sort of makes me want to isolate makes other people feel like I don't like them. Like, I know I have at least one friend right now that's like just waiting for me to call. Like, there's like 3 days a week that they're available. And I keep getting told, just call me one of those days, just call me one of those days, just call me one of those days. But like, I never fucking feel good on those days. So that's my reality, but his reality is probably that he thinks like I don't really want to hang out with him. And that sucks, because we've been friends since we were like 22. And we've got a lot of history, you know, like we share a lot of this big friend group that the entire friend group split up except for like a few of us, and me and this and my one friend or two of the people that are still in touch. Anyway, friendship and sobriety, man, it's rough. I'm feeling okay today, still, somehow. Dropped that 1 milligram on Monday. I was pretty worried about it. If it doesn't hit me by tomorrow, I think we might have skated by. I don't know what that means for what I'm going to do next time I pick up my take homes. I might decide to go back to dropping once every 7 days, because I did wait that 3 weeks before I went down 1 milligram. So I don't know. I'll have to think about it, and I'll have to keep monitoring how I feel over the next week or so, just to make sure that I'm not being presumptuously positive, or there's probably like a better word for that than 2 long words, but hopeful? I don't know. This ended up turning into a super long video, so I should go, but I hope you guys have a good day. And Zelda says hello. Oh, maybe she doesn't want to be in the video, or does she just wants to play? Okay. All right, bye guys.